With over 11 years of competition in Trackmania Nations Forever, a lot of crazy strategies have been used to improve the world records on the game's 65 campaign tracks. But what happened on the 5th of October 2019 is something we've never seen before. On the campaign track D12 Speed, the player Darkbringer had set a new world record of 38.94, beating the old world record from Jav by 100th of a second. Any world record improvement in Trackmania Nations Forever is a big deal in and of itself, but Darkbringer's run was more than just a world record improvement. It was the first time in the history of the game that someone had beaten a shortcut world record by driving a track the intended way. You see, where other speedrunning communities might have separate categories on their leaderboards for things like shortcut and non-shortcut, Trackmania doesn't. In Trackmania speedrunning, it's all about setting the fastest time, regardless of how you drive the track. And on D12 Speed, Darkbringer had incredibly enough managed to beat Jav's long-standing shortcut record without using the shortcut. Darkbringer's record put us in a very interesting position. Could the shortcut route really be called a shortcut at all if it was beaten by the normal way? What is the point of a shortcut that doesn't save any time? The only way for it still to be considered a shortcut would be if it had the potential to beat the normal way record, which of course was the question on everyone's mind. Could the supposed shortcut still be faster? But first, how did we even end up at the point where these two completely different routes are almost identically fast? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world record progression on D12 Speed. The story on D12 Speed begins over a decade ago, in April of 2008 when Trackmania Nations Forever was first released. In the early days, the D12 record traded hands many times, gradually being lowered down into the mid-39s. It would take almost a year though for the track to become really competitive, when a player by the name of Anarchy started driving it. Anarchy was an up-and-coming player, looking to prove himself by getting his first world record on one of the campaign tracks, and he saw his chance on D12 Speed. In February of 2009, he managed to get into the top 10 on the leaderboards with a time of 39.76, only 1500ths of a second behind the world record at the time, which was a 39.61 by Barontoder. He knew he could beat it, so he kept going. 3 weeks later, on the 11th of March, Anarchy had done it. He set a new world record of 39.55, beating Barontoder's former record by 600ths of a second. Most people are quite satisfied when they achieve a world record, especially if it's their first one. But not Anarchy. Anarchy wanted more, and he knew he could still improve the D12 record further, so he kept playing. And it wouldn't take him long because on the 15th of March 2009, only 4 days after he did his 39.55 time, Anarchy improved his own world record by another 300ths, down to a 39.52, now holding the world record by almost a tenth of a second. Anarchy's 39.52 is a great run for its time, and especially considering what tricks they knew about back then. It was driven over 10 years ago, but we still have it preserved in full quality thanks to Trackmania's replay system. The replay system allows players to save their runs as files that can be easily shared and uploaded, and downloaded to be viewed or played against by others. Since this is a short run, we'll watch it in its entirety first, and then afterwards analyze the strategies he used to achieve his time. There are a couple of key points to notice in Anarchy's run. The first thing is that at the very start, he leaves the ramp diagonally onto the first booster. It seems more logical to take the full downhill of the start ramp to get more speed, but here he's doing what's known as a booster start trick. On any track where there's a start block followed by a booster, it's faster to leave the start ramp diagonally than to simply drive straight. This is because of the way traction works in Trackmania. A general rule is that the more traction your car has, the more speed you'll gain, and by leaving the start ramp diagonally, the car's weight is pushing more down on the booster, resulting in more traction, and thus more speed. Doing the start boost trick usually saves a few hundredths of a second. After executing a good booster start trick, Anarchy uses yet another trick to gain time on the following dropdown: the air brake. Air brake is a technique that lets you stop your car's rotation by tapping brake while you're in the air. While this makes no sense whatsoever, it's one of the most fundamental tricks in the game, and it can be used to stabilize your car in all kinds of situations. On D12 speed, Anarchy performs the air brake at a specific timing so that his car lands aligned with the downhill, getting full traction immediately. Next, on the road to platform transition, he starts steering to the right early. This lets his left wheels get immediate grip on the platform, while he already has a steering angle into the following turn. But just before he reaches the platform, he stops steering for a moment, straightens out his car, and then continues steering. This is necessary because if he just kept steering right, his car would have started sliding on the platform, and when sliding, the car has less grip, which results in less acceleration, so by avoiding the slide, he doesn't lose any speed. Anarchy combined all three of these techniques seamlessly in the start, building up great speed for the rest of the track. That, however, was about to become a problem, because he still had to get through the hardest part of the run. This loop might look innocent at first, but it has caused Trackmania players a lot of pain over the years.
Now we come to the decisive sector, the decisive part, the part into the loop. Who's gonna survive? The gamer with an atrocious landing gets passed by multiple players, but also...
What? What? Wow. The fuck was that, dude?
So he knows what's up, but a very weak beginning here for the New Zealand player. Oh, that is a very, very trash looping here. And now the loop. Woo! Heffest gone flying.
The problem is that when you build up a lot of speed in the start, you are almost too fast for the death loop. At Anarchy speed, this little road transition becomes a big jump, and it makes you land halfway up the loop. The higher up you land, the more you crash against the loop with your front wheels, and the more speed you lose on the landing. In Anarchy's run, he jumped very diagonally on the road transition, reducing airtime and landing as early as he could. But as if the first part wasn't bad enough already, the rest of the death loop is also unconnected. When a loop is unconnected, it means there are gaps between each loop part, making the car jump from block to block. Unconnected loops are very deadly as they are prone to what's known as landing bugs. The landing bug is an unintended bug in the game that can frustratingly make you lose all of your speed when landing. We still don't know exactly why the landing bug happens, but most commonly, landing with your wheels directly on any visible line in the game is a bad idea. In the death loop, there are a lot of lines, most notably the vertical orange lines and the grey lines on the sides. If you want any chance of maintaining your speed, you'll have to avoid landing directly on them. But even if you avoid that, there are also smaller horizontal lines that can cause problems. The margin for error in the death loop is so small that players would have to endure hundreds of failed attempts when going for a world record time. But when you finally survived the death loop, the pressure was on. Anarchy was a bit shaky coming up to the ending, and tried to drive as safely as he could by going far up on the wall ride entry and exit. This cost him a few hundreds, but he was far in front of his world record at the time, and clutched out a new world record